So I want to talk to you guys about a historic church in Gaza, historic Greek Orthodox Christian church, the church called St. Porphyrius. Porphyrius. Sorry, I'm very bad with pronunciation. It's named after a Christian saint that died supposedly at that location at 420 AD. There was then a structure built around him in the 5th century, and now the modern structure of the church, now it's like a whole compound. It was built in the 12th century, so it has deep history in Gaza. It supports the 1% Christian minority of the city of Gaza, which has seen a lot of maltreatment from local authorities, particularly Hamas. And there were a lot of displaced Christians that had moved over, not only Christians, but a lot of displaced Christians that had moved into the compound once the bombing had started in order to find shelter. And an IDF bombing raid, which the IDF says they confirmed that they did this. So this isn't like a debate like with the hospital. We know that the IDF did this. And this is why I want to highlight the stories, because I feel like a little bit the hospital is becoming somewhat of like a red herring. Like both sides are trying to like, haha, if we proved that this was Palestinian Islamic Jihad, now that means we know that IDF is innocent, has never, bombed any civilians, and the other side is like, aha, if we prove that it was Israel, then we show that, Hamas doesn't use human shields, and it also proves that, and I want to just display that IDF bombardments are killing civilians. That's what I want to show you guys. Civilians who are trying to shelter in religious institutions for safety. So the IDF dropped a bomb to target a Hamas HQ, and they say that that bomb ended up damaging a wall in the church compound. Now the church is saying, and the collection of churches that it's a part of, the order that it's a part of, are saying that 2 buildings were damaged, and that there were hundreds of people that were sheltering in those buildings, and 16 to 18 people have died, and many others were injured. And not only were many people injured, somebody that I actually met when I was at LibertyCon, his family were killed in the attack. Justin Amash, Congressman Justin Amash, who I met while I was at LibertyCon, he was nice. I disagreed with him about a lot of things, but in moments like this, stuff like that just doesn't matter. He released this post about the bombing. I was really worried about this. With great sadness, I now confirm that several of my relatives, Justin Amash is a Palestinian American. He's been calling out the Heritage Foundation for a lot of its hateful rhetoric directed towards Palestinians, that they're trying to claim that Palestinian refugees cannot be accepted into American culture, which Justin Amash, by his own existence as a libertarian congressman, I mean, I disagree with Justin Amash's politics, but you can't say he's not a red-blooded American. Several of my relatives, including Viola and Yara, pictured here, were killed at the St. Porphyrius Church, Orthodox Church in Gaza, where they had been sheltering when part of the complex was destroyed by the result of an Israeli airstrike. Give rest, O Lord, to their souls, and may their memories be eternal. The Palestinian Christian community have endured so much. Our family is hurting badly. May God watch over all Christians in Gaza and all Israelis and Palestinians who are suffering, whatever their religion or creed. I wanted to show you guys some footage from the area that was hit. This is from Al Jazeera, which, just for disclaimers, for anybody who watches Al Jazeera media, definitely was covering the Middle East, is funded by the Qatari government.
A frantic search through the rubble in the compound of one of the world's oldest churches. Hundreds of Palestinians displaced by the war had been sheltering there. They believed it was one of the last remaining places of safety from Israeli bombardment.
There were no weapons or anything in the church. Children are missing. We can't find them. We're still unable to find them. There are no Christians left. I was in the church, and all those who were in the church were Christians. Enough is enough. We are really tired.
The Church of St. Porphyrius has a history dating back 1,600 years. Located in Gaza's old city, it's only a couple of hundred meters away from Gaza's Baptist Hospital, which suffered a separate strike just days ago, killing hundreds.
I am a Christian in Gaza. You are impossible informing Gaza. I am a Christian in Gaza and Muslim in Gaza.
In In a statement, the Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem condemned the strike, saying targeting churches and their institutions, along with the shelters they provide to protect innocent citizens, constitutes a war crime that can't be ignored. The Israeli military has not commented on the strike.
We've seen history.
This is no longer true. The IDF did release a response. They said again that they were trying to strike a Hamas HQ. And then it damaged, this is how they phrase it, they damaged one of the buildings in the church compound, and that there have been, quote unquote, reports of casualties. There are casualties.
Of the Israeli government, targeting mosques, targeting.
Oh, and they're launching an investigation. Where that will go, who knows? If anybody will be held accountable, probably not.
Churches and in the West Bank included, the Nativity Church in Bethlehem was attacked in 2002 during the second uprising.
The church itself has sustained damage, with the building next to it destroyed. Many of those sheltering there had fled northern Gaza after a warning by
I would describe a little bit more than a damaged wall here.
Israeli military for residents to escape for their own safety. But this latest strike...
Very, clinical language way to describe it, too.
...a statement from the UN earlier this week that no place is safe in Gaza. Paul Ging, Al Jazeera.
It's a really just terrible, terrible, depressing story. The Palestinian Christian community has been through a lot. Palestinians in general have been through a lot. And I wanted to bring up this story just because I feel that the other story at the Baptist hospital and the parking lot is becoming a little bit of a red herring, and that people are going to get really into the nuance of that story, which they should. But while getting into the nuance, people are going to get distracted from the other bombings that are going on. This church bombing has gotten relatively little coverage in comparison. While trying to look up stories on it in the Western press, it has taken a lot of time for them to process the story and it reached the headlines, and it's certainly not getting nearly as much attention as the other strike, which, of course, the reported deaths are different. Of course, the dispute is different. The IDF admits to doing this, but it should get proper attention. It should be highlighted. This isn't just a question of the human loss. This is also a question of the historical loss, which, of course, the human loss takes priority, but we're also seeing the living history of Gaza be demolished, just like we saw the living history of Oman be demolished during the Saudi airstrikes. A lot of people's countries' living history get destroyed in wars like this. When the Soviet Union invaded Poland, they destroyed a lot of the history of that city. A lot of the monuments towards, for example, the Polish defense against the Soviet Union in the 1920s. And this is a loss on multiple levels for Gazans. They're losing culture, they're losing their homes, and of course, most importantly, they're losing their lives. Should we get into the debate section of today's stream, or should we get into the Lamau laugh at Jim Jordan section of? I do like the Lamau laugh at Jim Jordan section. Doesn't it sound appealing? Doesn't it sound appealing? AIPAC and the evangelical Christian cult are all going to be silent. Oh yeah, one last thing, and I hope Danabo edits this in. I hope I remember to tell Danabo to edit this in the video when we upload it to YouTube. Have we heard a peep from Marjorie Taylor Greene, the so-called Christian nationalist, who says that we can't fund a forever war in Ukraine, but this 80 to 100-year war between Palestinians and Israeli? Yeah, no, dump as much money into that. Dump 14 billion, 20 billion, whatever. Are we hearing any peeps from the Christian nationalist crowd? Are we hearing any peeps from Christian congressmen who say that they support Israel in part due to their faith and the connection that the nation of Israel and the Israeli community has with evangelicals? Nah. We haven't seen much. Have not seen much.